How are we doing this afternoon? We okay? Yeah? So, are we okay, though? We're alive, that's good. I just checking. So what we're doing now is something a bit experimental. So it could be brilliant or it could go horribly wrong. Either way, just be patient with us. So what we're going to do is we're kind of no pressure for everybody here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some kind of live pitches. So the principle is essentially these very brave developers, which are lined up ahead of us, look at them, they look happy and not at all nervous. These guys are going to basically give a pitch to this panel of illustrious people I shall introduce in a second, and they will give their kind of feedback. So it's kind of like being inside a pitching session, really, I guess. And then we might have a chance for some questions back and forward, but it's just really to try and help those guys out and help us all get a bit pitching, or speaking in my case. So yeah, I'm Chris James, I'm the MD of Steel Media. I'll sit down here, but I'm not very useful. I'd like to, do you want to grab a mic and you can just say hello? This is, on my far right here is lovely Kadri, who runs Gamefounders. Does everybody know what Gamefounders is? Yes, one does. So do you want to explain Gamefounders briefly, what you do?
Is it on?
It's on, yeah.
Okay. Hi, I'm Kadri, and I'm one of the co-founders of Gamefounders. So Gamefounders is a games accelerator. So basically what Keith does in Canada, we do in Europe and Asia, but not really. So it's a pre-seed investment fund coupled with a 3-month mentoring program. And we have run since 2012, and we have 38 companies in our portfolio currently.
And she's just come back from looking at 70 pitches last week, so she's feeling fresh. If it's a bit harsh, that's why. Go on. And Shum from Agnitio.
Yeah, so Agnitio's really primarily an investment bank, but we've been focused on the games industry for probably far too long for me to actually admit, but it's been over 10 years. And unlike a lot of advisors, I actually have invested personally in 6 mobile gaming studios for my sins. But you know, I wouldn't be an effective banker if I didn't actually put my money where my mouth is.
Cool. And last but certainly by no means least is Keith.
Thanks, Chris. My name is Keith Katz. I'm co-founder of Execution Labs. We're based in Montreal. My office is in San Francisco, and we're also a games accelerator and early stage investor in game studios.
Cool. Okay, so let's just crack on, get the pitches up. So our first pitch, if you could just come up and do your ting. Are you mic'd up? Okay, go for it. Introduce yourself, off you go.
Hello, is it working?
It's working.
Yes.
Do you have a clock?
Yes.
Go.
Hello, my name is Jukka Hilvonen. I'm presenting Seepia games, and our mission is to help mobile game players to have meaningful strategic challenges in short gaming sessions. A little bit about our team. In contrast to some other Finnish companies, we are not from Rovio, not from Wargaming, not from EA. We are not Rockstar developers. We are a small team of entrepreneurs who believe that we are able to make a world-class gaming company in Lappeenranta when we work smart and just learn quicker than the rest of the guys in our industry. We have all of the main disciplines or skills presented in our founding team quite well. But also, we are, of course, looking for the investment to back up our team a little bit. So, we have been operational for years. Since then, we have been released 3 mobile game titles, gathered a little bit over 2 million downloads, and in overall in the team, there's a little bit over 20 years of experience in developing mobile games. So I think you all know this. Mobile gaming is huge. It's still accelerating quite well in the coming years. China and LATAM, all the emerging markets are boosting mobile game sector even to higher states. But what is important for us is the collectible card game sector, which is growing quite well in the 2 days. In this year, it's about 500 million in revenue, the collectible card games, and it's accelerating quite well in the coming couple of years. And that's where we are tapping our skills. So here's a few of our competitors. Like you know, collectible card games have emerged as a mainstream genre for mobile games. And we think that the mobile games are emerging so that people don't want to, the tastes of mobile gamers are maturing to more mid-core titles, but we still have to offer the great gaming experiences in short times. So basically, players don't have more time compared to the previous years, but we, as a developers, we have to bring the best experiences just at the same amount of time what we used to have with the casual games. Our vision is going to be that we'll be, in 10 years of time, the leading collectible card game developer in the world, punching about 15% of the revenue share from the whole market. Of course, the main challenge is how to get discovered by the users for our games. We have some aces in our sleeves, which I'm of course not going to present here. You're free to come to talk if you're interested in investing in our company. But let's say that it involves more about creative marketing than just pouring the money into the paid user acquisition. Shortly about our roadmap, our first game, Premier Duels, which we are currently doing, will be soft launch in end of March this year, which will be focusing on the tactical end of the spectrum, and the next game will be focusing on the strategic challenges of the gamers. We are looking for 250k euros in exchange of 14% of our equity. Our company will be developed for good MA target for Asian casual publishers in the next 5 years of time, with a valuation of $100 million. Cool. Thank you.
Excellent. Easy if you guys to see me. You can see the thing that happens.
Should I go first?
You go first. Go on.
Okay. Thank you. So just some high-level thoughts first. One is, so you're pitching to professional game investors, right? So there's a lot of sort of superfluous stuff at the beginning that you could just cut out. I mean, we don't need to see sort of the global market opportunity for mobile games and all that stuff. Your slides are super text-heavy. So, like it's a game, so like show some cool stuff and like show me the game you're working on. It took probably halfway through the deck before I even knew what you were working on. There's nothing about the team that you listed that indicates you know how to run a mid-core TCG or CCG. So I think that's lacking. Mm-hmm. You also, I think, could do a better job of showing sort of insight into that particular market. We actually have an investment in a studio doing this kind of game. It's incredibly complex to do that game as a live service. Acquiring users is super expensive. Yeah. It's one of the most expensive genres out there. So I would sort of show, if you have some plans for how you're going to tackle that issue, because the amount of money you're asking for is not going to solve that problem. Yeah. I think you could. The main thing is sort of know your target audience a bit and sort of really refine it, because if you're doing an investor pitch, just assume that sort of there's that baseline knowledge and sort of assume that we have some pre-existing knowledge of this genre and help us understand how you're going to solve that problem. Thank you.
Shum, you got anything to add to that?
Yeah, well, Keith kind of stole everybody's thunder, so next time I'm going first, Keith. So no, I mean, yeah, to echo what Keith said, Jukka. I mean, I think it's really important. I mean, because you guys haven't even launched a title, that you really have to hone in on your team, and what makes you, how can you distinguish yourself from all the people. Lots of other developers that have significantly more experience, that have raised a lot of money, that have failed with titles, that have a lot of experience from multiple years and multiple titles that might have failed or succeeded. So how do you compete against that? So an investor is going to be thinking, why should I invest in you when there's all these other players out there that I could take a look at, that have this kind of a team that I'm aware of, that have these kinds of experience, these kinds of titles, this kinds of knowledge. So to get over that hump, especially if you're going to target gaming investors, right? Then I think you really need to hone in on what is the key distinguishing characteristic of your studio?
Cool. Thank you.
I'm not going to repeat everything. I agree with everything said before. Maybe one more thing that I would point out. You said that you have already published some games and you had only over 2 million downloads. So, like, what are the numbers behind these games? Like, show us that, you know, we could do this with our own games, and this is why we should believe that you are going to do even like better numbers with the next games.
Yeah.
So, even if you don't have, like, you know, you have to be clever about what you present. I mean, maybe your retention is not good, or maybe you are monetizing well, or maybe I don't know, session lengths are better than average, or like, give us something that sort of statistically shows us that we should invest in you. And I do agree, like 250 is not going to make you better than Hearthstone in 10 years, so you somehow have to make us believe that.
I just want to make one quick point. This is sort of general for everyone. I think it's dangerous as a company, any company, to sort of like build a game for an exit strategy, like to specific types of companies. And I mean, I think this is something we can talk about offline, but sort of saying that we're going to exit to one of 4 companies is sort of secondary or tertiary to actually building a great game that then those problems sort of go away. So anyway, something to keep in mind.
Cool. Was that useful?
Yes.
You did very well. Very handshake. Give a round of applause, please.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next up. You've got 3. It's supposed to be 3 minutes. We let him go a little bit the first time, but go for it. You ready? You ready?
I'll give it
Go
a go.
for it.
I'll give it a go. Hello, everybody. Well done. My name is Ted Baybutt, and I am the MD of MovieSweep, which is an addictive film connections game. My background is filmmaking, so I run an award-winning film production company in Greenwich, in London. And we were the only film production company to be selected by the Tribeca Film Festival by Robert De Niro. So I'm a filmmaker first, and then got into development of apps about two years ago. 10 years ago, I had a brilliant idea for an app. 2 years ago, I said try to convince the team to do it. We're looking for 400,000 at a 1.25 million pre-money valuation, because the partners that I work with are phenomenal, and they've been helping us very closely every week for 2 years. That translates as 400,000 for 32% of the business. The film connections, it starts with an actor, ends with an actor, and it tests how well you know your films. It's primarily for film geeks all over the world. It's a clever. The sales affiliation is important, because if you see a film that you like, you can buy it, and we've got a clever database and algorithm to help that. What is the game? Round 1, you fill out your film connections. Round 1, you are a runner. Round 2, production assistant. Round 3, editor, and you complete the game when you hit studio head. We're seeking SEIS Advanced Assurance, which I know some of the speakers before talked about the tax relief, entrepreneurial relief. I mentioned the key partnerships, which I'll do on the second slide, which I've got to press this green button for. And we wish to be part of the $10 billion mobile games market. It's so saturated, we've got to find a way of really making a name for ourselves. MovieSweep is gamifying movie purchasing in an interesting way. So over 2 years, we've developed a patent and a trademark to do that. The connections, as I mentioned, the narrative I briefly mentioned, which is the end of every sweep, we have an end-of-round film, which is haptified by immersion. On Android, our partners are Samsung, Immersion, and Google. Immersion does haptics, so that is the vibration feedback, and I know that they're representatives of those 3 companies here today. iTunes Connect as well, who we're closely working with. And on the sales side, it's basically the gamifying the movie purchasing using our connections with studio film libraries and back catalogs. We're not competing with Netflix or Amazon Prime. We're not doing that. We have a different plan. Social media and our excellent marketing campaign, which is so key to MovieSweep working, which we've developed over 2 years, and MovieSweep Legacy, which is creating this film geek universe so that people will play and MovieSweep and keep playing it and hopefully buy a few things through it. I don't know if I know how close I am, but that's it. If you look us up on Twitter, you follow us on Twitter, I'll send you a film. So.
Okay, thank you very much. Extra course, we have 3 minutes there, so it's good. So, Shum, do you want to...
Okay. So I think, everything that Keith said about the last presentation about being text heavy also applies to you. So I feel that you were giving us like a lot of categories about stuff that you should sort of do, but you didn't really say what you did in them. So, I mean, Android has Samsung, but like, what are your connections? Do you already have something? Have you talked to somebody? So like all of that remained a bit unclear. So I think it was more of like, this is my dream thing and these are the things that I should do. This is my to-do list. Like that's sort of like the feel. I think you should actually start with some visuals, like graphics, like, do you want to do this? Like make us go inside the product and somehow like feel the difference. Because I mean, you felt yourself, you have to say like, we're not Netflix, we're not this, we're not that, but show us, like don't sort of try to explain stuff. It's sometimes really difficult to explain these kinds of things. And another thing, you should never, I think you should not give 32% for 400, because if you get like 2 more rounds of investors coming in, then you'll end up with 5%. And actually, like we never invest into studios where the founders already own less than half. So, I mean, you are sort of setting yourself up to not getting further investments, and probably the investor's not going to invest as well. So try to get your product a bit further, present it better, and then you can ask for the same amount, but just for less.
How much do you recommend? What percentage?
I haven't seen your product. It's too difficult to say right now.
Yeah, I think those were all really, valid points that Kadri made. So I think that for everybody else that's going to be pitching, I think, if you guys can focus on the product first, your UI, your navigation, how you're going to run live ops, I think that's going to be really crucial to getting even gaming investors to believe what you're trying to achieve. So I think it's novel. I think that what you're trying to do is novel. I think it's tricky because when you're dealing with movie studios, particularly that own IP, they can be absolutely ruthless when it comes to revenue and royalties. So I don't know how, if you kind of showed us maybe a very kind of, basic diagram as to how much kind of rev share they're going to take, or, if it's going to be an affiliate marketing deal, because someone's obviously come through MovieSweep and they're going to ultimately, through m-commerce, decide to buy a movie, then, sort of what are the economics, right? Because then either then you're going to have to spend millions on marketing, and then you're going to have to, kind of distill it down or figure out how, where's the break-even point for you. Mm-hmm. So this to me was quite unclear, but I did think that it was a novel idea.
Thank you.
I have to admit, maybe I'm the only one. I don't know what the product is. After having seen the deck, I'm not sure what the product is. I need some pictures or something.
Thank you.
Is that good?
Yeah, which one's Simon Cowell here? Thank you.
You need a non-Simon Cowell. Cool. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I made something special today. It's a difficult exercise. Don't launch it now, Glenn. Back up a second. You can go. So, kickALive. I'm Pierre from kickALive. We're a dev studio based in Paris. We're currently 7 full-time developers. And we make games for people so that they create living worlds. Our first mobile game is dedicated to women of all ages. It's called Kawaii. And in Kawaii, you take care of cute little creatures. And the retention loop is centered on caring. Very important.
Kawaii is a time management builder game. Players produce several resources in many different ways. They fulfill missions and NPCs propose requests. Players create their world. They can fully customize it. They have to embellish it with numerous furnitures and decorations, and also they have to tweak many parameters like heat, humidity, wind, smell, music. One key aspect is believability. That's why the Kawaiis interact together with or without you, just as in the physical world. In fact, the whole world is kind of a sandbox where you can test anything, and anything will happen. Our content strategy provides long-term objectives where, for instance, your little Kawaiis will learn seduction, love, and family life. We are very proud with our early testers. They usually start with, "Oh my God!" and finish with an outrage. Let me play more!
But Kawaii is not a game. It is your daily dose of tenderness and caring. It's the most important thing for a lot of people, an audience that is massively underserved today. And why is it so important for you developers, investors and publishers? Because we are on a bloody battlefield where everyone is struggling in a red ocean called mid-core to hardcore. And yes, it is a very great market with great RPUs, but many people don't get what they want. No one really delivers tenderness. No one delivers tenderness. And it's a shame because
it's calling to you.
Yes, it is calling to you. Voilà.
Just let it in.
Just let it in. We have a vision, we have a great product, we have a great team, a secret sauce where the first results show great results. And we're looking for partners to make it a massive success. Thank you.
Yeah, so firstly, great presentation. I really enjoyed it. It kind of showed very, very clearly exactly what you're working on product-wise. You kind of told and spelled out your vision, exactly, who you want to, what kind of demo you want to go for, and what kind of game. So I liked all of that. I guess if you could have showed some more retention metrics, if you could have showed some more kind of monetization mechanics that you're going to employ, because tenderness, as I agree with you, is probably highly underserved, but probably one of the reasons it's underserved is because there isn't a demonstrable product that makes a lot of money in there. So everybody's going to mid to hardcore because guess what? You got very, very high ARPDAU users in there, right? And there's kind of a tried and tested methodology and long-term plan, multiple-year plan on how you can monetize those users once you get them in. Obviously, I guess here the cost for acquiring users will be a lot less, hopefully. But I guess, yeah, that was the thing that was missing for me, was retention, if you have some results, and then also monetization.
That's 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The rest you can come and I will show you.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
And just, excuse me, just to answer, we have not gone soft launch yet, so no real results, just focus test. The soft launch is coming in the coming weeks.
Do agree with everything said before. One thing would, just a technical note, I would not have people watch a video during that long of a time of the pitch. You can show the video, but just the talk, just speak yourself. Because right now it was like we all came here to watch a movie with you, so it's not really what you want. But I do want to compliment on you, for being the first one that really got emotions out of us. Because previously, you really got us into the whole game mood, and it was fun, and actually the goal of the first pitch is to get the interest enough for people to come to talk to you. So it's never the first time you pitch and then people start writing checks and throwing them at you. You always pitch only for the next meeting. So I think that in that sense it was a very good one. But I do agree, I would like to see more numbers, and I'm not 100% sure if 100% of female is your target. I would disagree with that.
Not 100% of the women, unfortunately.
So females need tenderness of all ages, and so sort of
That's
what's
sexist.
the yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's very impressive you signed the deal with Star Wars as well. That was a good... So, okay. Who's next up? I don't know. Pavel? Who's number 4? Yes, come up. I'm number 4, I guess. Who's up? Pavel. Oh, okay, come on. Go. Quick. Go for it. We had 3. We're trying to squeeze some more. So go.
Hello, I'm pretty happy to be here in London. I'm on Finance Game Makers, celebrating our passion for gamecraft. And today I'm going to show you our game, Traps. That is basically a combination of city builder and 3D runner that our players tends to call Temple Run plus Clash of Clans, where you build your castle in the sky, fill it up and protect it with combination of traps and raid other players' fortresses in the 3D runner mode. We've been testing our game on Android and iOS recently. We've got some nice App Store editor notes. And actually, the editor has been so nice to us. They've already featured us in Australia. And we got to top 10 strategy games there. As well as some pretty nice comments from the players. And the initial metrics that helps us to prioritize the goals and plan the further versions of the game. As well, we have some pretty nice publishing opportunities now open that I can cover next few months with you. This is our team, and I want to thank all these guys that helps us during the journey of creating this nice game. So, Meet Traps, Build and Run, a combination of city builder and 3D runner. Thank you.
Well, full disclosure, I've seen the game before and I've played it, so I know it's fun. It's a fun game, and I think your presentation was a little bit disjointed at times. Sort of the team at the end was sort of weird, and you can talk over a trailer when it's playing because you have limited time. But just a couple of things to think about. If you've already been featured in Australia. Yeah. There's some weirdness there if you've already gotten a feature and what that means for featuring when you go global. Could be potentially, so you need to sort that out. I didn't really have time to see all the stats, but you put up a 0.6 conversion rate for paying users. It was 0.6, I believe.
No. I believe it's like between 0.3 and 0.2 and 0.3. Yes, more usual.
0.3, not 1.3. Anyway, the point is, it's less than 1. It's not a number that you necessarily want to be bragging about at this point.
Yes, definitely.
If you're going to show real metrics, like make sure you're at least showing the ones that are sexy, like retention and stuff like that. If you have a number that's subpar, you shouldn't be sort of like putting it out there to sort of brag about. I'll let these guys comment because it's the first time they've seen the game.
Okay.
I only have one question, and actually it was the same for the previous one. What do you want? Good job.
Thank you.
Was that enough?
Thank you. Well, actually, we've been looking for money before, but now we have a nice publishing deal with the upfront, so we'll have some money to finish the game and to make it a real hit.
So you don't want anything?
Well, maybe for the future projects, I believe.
Okay, right, there you go, brilliant.
Thank you.
Okay, all right, fair enough. We are a little bit late, but I think because the gentleman's waiting, I think we're going to... Does anybody mind if we go slightly into the next session? We will obviously... Keith, do you mind?
I got nothing to say. Yeah, no, it's fine.
Come on, all right, up you go. Last pitch. You all good?
So, hi, I'm Sam Agnitio. I'm from Global Studio, a Netherlands-based indie gaming studio since 2009. So we have a new IP, which is AlgoNo, and it's a very unique fighting puzzle game inspired by tic-tac-toe. So what the game is offering, the game is built using Coco Studio X engine, so our main target platforms are Android and iOS. The gameplay is basically tic-tac-toe, but with a lot of extra dynamic gameplay. So you place your marks, and when you complete a mark, you attack the opposite player. However, you are not limited to only 3 marks or 4, but to all possible combinations. And what makes it even more fun is the immediate pickups. So you have these real fighting mechanics. On each cell of tic-tac-toe, you have also an item of sword shield and health. And when you select a cell to place your mark, you also immediately get something which makes the game very active and a continuous action. There is the multiplayer, which is the best part because you can play online with other friends. There is also the arcade mode where you can play against the AI, which is very incredible, good playing AI. And you can unlock all of the characters in a story mode, which is a really good fairy tale. And well, the game is very unique. So basically, it's based on tic-tac-toe, so it's very inviting for other players. Everybody knows how to play tic-tac-toe. You can just get into the game. And it also provides real-time fighting mechanics, which makes it very unique, because usually in a puzzle game, you have to wait to get to the results, but this game provides real-time fighting mechanics, which has continuous action during the puzzle game. We have already finished part of the game. It's complete, but today's market requires nothing but the best. So we need investment for the development, and we want to improve the art and animation, enrich the story, and most of all, provide a rich multiplayer. So the next iteration is going to take about 5 months, and for that we are looking for an investment of 250,000 euros. Part of it will go to development, and the rest of it will go into marketing, user acquisition, promotion, and visiting exhibitions. Because this is a new board game, like match 3 games are they have died out. So this is a new board game that can provide and be like kind of the same as match 3 games, but it provides something new and something refreshing for the players. And we can build a series of games based on this new IP. I'm gonna show you part of the game. So you get the stories, and you follow the story, and you start as really having low health and easier opponents, and as you progress through the story, the opponents become stronger and stronger. So as you see also, it's very dynamic. Each cells that you complete will renew, so it will provide a very dynamic gameplay to the gamers. Through the game, you will encounter many different environments that are also unique to the story mode. But when you unlock all of the characters and you go into the arcade mode, you got also to play in those environments.
I guess for me, I mean, I think it's going to be tough for you to compete with a lot of match 3 games. That's my personal opinion, and I'd rather be honest with you up front. And you mentioned that match 3 games are dying. Actually, on the contrary, I think that they're very stable, and it's just that more and more revenue is being, well, really ascribed to fewer players. So the problem, even if, I mean, you have a new sort of dynamic sort of mechanic to play, you're still going to need a huge amount in marketing spend to actually make it meaningful. So, I mean, that's just my comment.
Yeah, I mean, half of what you're asking for or more is for user acquisition. Investors don't really want to see that. Like, want to see you spending money on production and then figuring out the UA later. Just don't spend. I wouldn't spend necessarily 6 more months trying to polish this thing, because it's probably still not going to be as polished as some of the top match 3 games out there. I don't know how many games you shipped as a studio. I don't know if you mentioned that, but it might be a best opportunity to get this thing shipped, learn some stuff, and then move on to the next project.
We have already all 4 published games.
Okay.
Previous to this one, but yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Cool. Do you want anything else? Okay, well, all right.
Thank you.
I think we have to wrap it there. So thank you very much.
Thanks.
Can we have a big round of applause, please, for all the publishers? The developers are very game. It's very straight talking. I told you it was going to be. And a big round of applause as well, please, for our experts on the stage here, for Kadri, Shum, and Keith.